I get confused sometimes.
Well, there's a lot, and there's a lot of different languages in there.
Yes, the languae are... there are a multitude of languae.
So you're a xenolinguist, are you?
Oh, God, what's that from?
It's from the 2008 Star Trek.
Oh, right, yeah.
When he meets Uhura.
Uhura, yeah.
I'm a xenolinguist. You know what that means, do you? You got a talented tongue.
I'll say. What is up, interwebs? Big Lou here. Matt, the
Cheers.
Catman, with me as always. And we are doing our full review of Star Trek Picard Episode 6. We're on 6
Yes.
now? Episode 6, The Impossible Box.
Oh, is it impossible?
Clearly not for some characters on the show, and quite apparently for others.
Yeah.
I loved this episode.
It's my favorite one so far.
Yeah, I know. I absolutely agree with that. So, what were some of the standout moments that made it your favorite?
Oh, so I like how deep it went.
Yeah.
I mean, just on so many different levels. You can sit there and enjoy like the action and whatnot.
Yeah.
But it goes really deep, especially with Soji.
Yeah.
And how Narek figures out about her dreams, and her dreams are keeping reality from her.
Yeah.
What that reminded me of was the kind of similar scenario in The Matrix.
Right.
Where you have to, at some subconscious level, be making a choice.
Yeah. There's, and it's also that trope in The Matrix where Smith says the original version of The Matrix was a paradise. It was utopia.
Right.
But the human psyche couldn't handle that.
Yeah.
And crops were lost. It was a big waste. I can't do a Hugo Weaving impression, but
Yeah.
you know what I'm referring to.
Yeah. It was it very, very complex on how she allowed her mind to process that.
For sure. Oh, I loved how he was kind of talking through it and explaining to his sister Rizzo that look, just because you don't know what I'm doing here doesn't mean I don't know what I'm doing.
Right.
And he explained it to her. Well, he was explaining it to us. The exposition there was done very well. But it was like, you've got to have that subconscious
choice
pressure valve. Otherwise, like you said, it's just going to build up, and eventually it's just going to pop.
Right. Especially how, like, when he was just casually asking her, like, do you talk to your mom all the time?
Yeah.
Did you normally fall asleep? And she's like, oh, I don't know. She didn't even give it a passing
second thought. Yeah. No, it is. It was really, really good. The biggest thing that I took away from this was the directorial choice. I forget who directed this. I know it wasn't Jonathan Frakes, because I know he only directed the previous two to this. But the director's tone from when Picard first starts getting the anxiety of I'm going to go back to the Borg cube, to when he gets to the cube and starts having that panic attack.
Yeah.
And then it starts here, and then it just slowly goes down and reaches that valley. And then the tone shifts slowly as he starts realizing that I'm not in danger. This is okay. The music gets different. The lighting gets different. The editing is more fluid and less choppy. And it's just, as Hugh is explaining things to him,
he calms down.
Yeah.
Comes out of his, like, PTSD.
Right. But the way that the scenes were shot were very reflective of what he was going through emotionally. And I thought that was one of my favorite elements of this episode. It was just, it was really, really cool. So
it's definitely something that you specifically would notice.
Yeah.
I definitely noticed, the emotional side of when, Picard goes to the holosuite.
Sure.
And is sitting there reflecting at his desk, and the coolest shot in the entire episode.
In the entire season so far.
was when he scrolls past himself as Locutus. Oh, yeah, and it's the kind of superimposed of him in the...
And can we just jump to a moment towards the end where that random Borg just goes, "Sup, Locutus?"
Right. Yeah.
I just was like, that's that frat boy you see at a party that you don't want to be recognized. And he's like, "Hey, ain't you that guy?" It's like, that was... I don't know if it was intended to be funny or if that's going to play into something further episodes, but it was like, that was a really interesting moment where just this random Borg, as they're running away from the Romulans, goes, "Sup, Locutus?"
X-Borg. XB.
Apologies to y'all, to all the XBs and watching.
I like how XB is kind of a double entendre.
Yeah.
Because it can be X-Borg or XB, like worker bee, because that's what the Borg are.
Drones, yeah. It's kind of like Arby's. Arby's is like RB for roast beef. And
I see.
They sell.
I've never given that much thought to Arby's.
I think about Arby's regularly. Okay. Anyway, what else you got on your list there?
So here's a question.
I like questions.
Soji's mom.
Yes.
She's some sort of Smith-like construct?
That's what I would think, because every time she calls her, she starts falling asleep, like within
70 seconds.
70 seconds, yeah. So it is interesting it'll be interesting to see what happens when Picard tries to call her mom to find out, start corroborating some of her interactions and stuff like that.
And obviously the calls are going somewhere because Narek was able to find them, and they found there were only 70 seconds. So what's on the other end?
Yeah.
That's what I want to know.
Yeah. Pinocchio doll that has her face. That was creepy, but it was done really, really well.
Yeah.
I have some things here written down that don't necessarily have to do with Picard and Hugh and the XBs and stuff like that, but just the random stuff about with the rest of the crew, like Rios and Dr. Girardi kind of hooking up, and
and I think Dr. Girardi. There's so much more there that we've yet to see.
Yeah, and I'm really looking forward to that because I think Alison Pill is just a fantastic actress.
And I mean, are we going to see her spring some sort of villainous trap? I mean, she did kill Maddox.
I don't know. I don't think so. I think she may lead them somewhere, but I don't think it's going to be her mastermind thing. I think she's going to do something out of desperation for her own, something like that. And then my girl Raffi talks a good game.
Yeah, right?
When she's trying to get her way with the Starfleet officer
personnel,
yeah, that was a really cool scene. She just takes her little... Give me
a
minute. It was great.
And then when she's done, she walks off with the bottle.
Yep.
So how cool was it right at the end where Hugh activates the spatial trajector? Basically a Stargate.
Yeah.
They now have a Stargate.
Yeah. Well, and that's a callback to one of the first seasons of Voyager.
Right.
They tried to use that technology to get home, and it didn't work. Obviously, because it was season 1.
So that would have been a real short show.
Yeah. Yeah. For sure. But did you watch the preview for next week's?
Yeah.
Okay, so they gave away where they're going in the preview.
Yeah.
Which is kind of obvious where they're going.
Yeah.
I mean,
but
he's going to go find Will.
He needs number 1.
He does, absolutely.
That's going to be good.
Yeah.
That reunion, because it's it's him and number 1.
Yeah. Not the 4-legged one.
Going back to the spatial trajector for one moment.
Yeah, sure.
So the Queen used that on the Borg ships if she needed to make a hasty escape.
Yes.
We haven't seen some sort of recovered Queen or dead Queen. So did the queen of that ship use that trajectory to go somewhere?
Well, that was going to be my question. Because the way that they did it in Voyager, they made it seem like the queen was the queen. She was head of all the Borg.
Right.
Is there a queen on each cube?
So, from what I understand, there's a queen on each cube, but they're the same collective.
It's the same consciousness of the same. Okay, yeah.
Yeah. But that entity is possibly independent.
Yeah.
But that also closes a loophole of how the queen from that new Picard from when he was abducted that Borg cube was destroyed in that episode.
Yep.
And then the queen came back for first contact.
And she was also in Voyager.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
That closes that loophole.
Yeah.
That's never really been explained.
Yeah. No, and I that's my headcanon until they tell me one way or another.
Uh-huh.
So, what while we're on that, as far as the thing, one of the things that I liked about that whole sequence was when Picard walked into the Queen's chamber. He goes, "This is the Queen's cell."
Yeah,
and he was like, "Yep, you've never been here. It's just all in there."
Yeah,
and it's like, how deep does that subconscious go? It's like, Picard, like we see it in First Contact where he goes, "Have everyone target these coordinates," and Data's like, "Sir, those aren't crucial systems." Right. And he goes, "Data, trust me." Bang, 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 and the whole thing explodes.
Like trying to remember a dream.
Yeah.
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 He's been incepted.
That's a pretty good metaphor.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah. So while we're talking about still on the cube, the sequence where Hugh was explaining to Picard the reclamation process and the de-assimilation, the desimilation
sure.
Of them all and stuff like that. Hugh says a line where he says, "We're just as enslaved as before, only this time our queen is a Romulan."
Yeah.
Do you think that was him trying to say, hey, there's more going on here than we know, than we're allowed to say?
Yes.
Or is that, I think so
too. I think the Romulans are their like overseers.
Yeah.
And he's given special privilege as the director of this project, but he's on a very short leash.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
I liked his phrasing there and how it was like, we're as a citizen of the Federation, I'm free, I can come and go as I please.
He's the only one.
Yeah, all the other XBs are okay, you're
Hope
not
you like this ship.
Yeah, you're not a Borg anymore, but you're not going anywhere. So, now, have they said whether or not the ship is operational, or is it just kind of static in space? Like, does it have propulsion? Can it fly or stuff like that? Or
they haven't said, but if you watched the preview in Ready Room, for the next one, and spoiler alert for the next one,
which I did. I don't.
They were under a tractor beam, which would have been the Borg cube.
Right, yeah. Well, I mean, obviously it has some functionality because there's life support and, the systems work.
Because that big shield
and
in the middle of the hole.
The trajector thing was able to shoot them, like a freaking watermelon seed on a hot summer day.
And I think that, those, like, the diamond-looking things around it are either, like, mines or some sort of, like, defensive weaponry that will activate if it tries to go anywhere.
Oh, okay.
That's just my theory.
Yeah, keeping it in place. And also keeping people away too.
Sure.
Yeah. So, what else you got there?
Elnor.
Love him. He's such a badass. In such a naive badass kind of way.
Right. Just, right there in the clutch. Comes in with a sword. Slices somebody's head off.
I love a good mic drop to credits trope.
Yeah.
And this had a great mic drop to credits trope. He was just like, "Please, my friends, choose to live."
Choose to live.
Credits. And it's like, no!
So, do we think we see Elnor?
Oh, yeah, for sure.
Okay.
Yeah. He's too cool a character to have him go out like that. Mm-hmm. You know, it's like for him to be this warrior Romulan nun and have his last appearance on the show just be him standing there at the ready, fade to black. Yeah, no, we're definitely going to see him again.
All right. I'll hold you to that.
Yeah, definitely. Definitely going to see him again. Definitely. What else you got?
That was my take on it.
That was your take on it. I also want to touch briefly on the relationship between Raffi and Rios, because with her talking about how I've got a kid, how long have we known each other, and you didn't know that. It's like, have we ever truly been friends? Granted, she's kind of out of it because she's on that stuff and pretty drunk at the time, but you could tell her thought process of really dealing with the anxiety, not the anxiety, but the fallout of the realization of I may never see my son again.
Yeah. And how does Rios help her with that and cope along?
Did you get any sense that there used to be anything between them, or do you feel that they've just always been a kindred spirit?
I go in with the assumption that there's something between anyone and Rios.
That's a pretty good, yeah.
He's the Han Solo of this whole enterprise, so to speak.
Yeah, that's the right phrasing. But yeah, no, and I love the line that he says as he's walking out of the room, as he kind of tucked her in and looked at her and said, "No one gets it all right, or none of us get it all right, Raffi." And I think that line speaks volumes to not only what the characters are going through in the show, but just how we deal with life in general. It's like we struggle so much to meet whatever criteria either society or ourselves or our parents or our peers set for us, and the pressure is eventually going to get to us all at some point. And him just looking at her and going, we don't all get it right. We don't get it all right all the time, I think is really cool, especially coming from a character like Rios.
Yeah. There was a line that Eliza Schlesinger had in her one of her podcasts.
Okay.
Where she's talking about she was just going through a hard time, and her husband said, you don't have to notice everything.
Yeah. Yeah. No, it is. It's very true, especially for someone like her.
Yeah.
So, I have a theory.
Okay.
You had a theory last week. My turn for a theory.
Please.
I think Narek is going to turn on the Tal Shiar to save Soji.
He's conflicted with her. Yeah. There's no doubt about that.
Yeah. I think because she lived and now he has a second chance, to follow his heart, because you could tell that he, has feelings for her and very, very much.
You think it's going to come down to between her and his sister?
Yeah. Yeah. And I think he's going to, fall on the blade and jump in the way of them trying to kill her.
I really like his character.
Yeah, I do too.
It is so complex.
Yeah,
it's not the mustache twirling villain. He has this conflict within him.
Yeah, yeah. The thing I like most about his character, and this is going to sound really dumb, his hair.
He does have cool hair.
For a Romulan, it's, most Romulans have that standard, regular flat, bowl cut, Vulcan look. But he's kind of got, this, Abercrombie.
Surfer.
Yeah. All right. Let's go feast some Borg.
Be a lot cooler if you did.
So anyway, I'm very much this has been my favorite episode of this season, and
it's just ramping up.
It really took me by surprise. I didn't think that they would be off to the races in this episode. I thought that something would happen, and Picard would see her and be like, "Soji, no," and she'd be off, with Narek somewhere. But they're together, and
I like it because it's moving the story quickly forward.
Absolutely agree. So anyway. Any closing thoughts?
There was one thing where another level of depth for it was when they were exploring as Hugh and Picard are walking through the artifact, and the Borg are being converted to X-Borg. And you do see them, becoming human again.
Yeah.
You do realize that they were actually enslaved.
Yeah.
And that you're so used to thinking that the Borg are this omnipotent enemy, but there's actual individuals behind the machinery.
Yeah.
And those individuals were slaves.
Yeah. Yeah. And Picard even says it, it's like they're victims. And that's, victim mentality, taking that type of, realizing the aha moment that he had when realizing that he himself being a victim of these people, now realizing that they themselves are also victims,
right?
And that was very much a monkey touch monolith moment for him, and it'll be interesting how he deals with that going forward. So anyway. Those are our thoughts on episode 6 of Picard, The Impossible Cube. Let us know what your thoughts are.
Box.
Right, I'm sorry, Impossible Box. My bad word. Let us know what your thoughts are on this episode down in the comments below. We're trying to engage here so that we can have a discussion and have some lively conversation about what this show is and what our thoughts are. So drop a comment, drop a like, share the video, subscribe to the channel just by clicking right here, and we've got another fun video for you to watch right up here. In the meantime, we will be back next week with the review of episode 7, title coming soon. I don't know what the title of episode 7 is.
It's out, but I don't know what it is either.
Me either. Anyway, so we'll see you then next time.